All right, so I saw Captain Marvel the day it came out, early, like 10 a.m., because I wanted to do a review, right away. We ended up doing a review over on the podcast that I do, the Pod Shit Nerdcast. I posted it actually before this video, if you want to check that out. But since we had already talked about it for like half an hour, my friend and I it's like I forgot about doing the solo review. So, but here it is. Here's my solo review of Captain Marvel. The first thing I noticed about the movie really was the de-aging. And the de-aging, we've seen it before, obviously, but this is the first time we've ever seen an entire movie with the de-aging. Like, Samuel L. Jackson and Agent Coulson, like, throughout the entire thing, were de-aged. I thought it looked fantastic. I thought, like, wow, like, what can they do now? Like, I mean, like, going forward. I mean, you have the X-Men coming soon. What kind of backstories are they going to be able to tell with de-aging once they tell some initial stories? Like, what else can they do? I love it. I love that this took place in the 90s. For one, because I was a kid in the 90s, and it was very nostalgic for me. But also because I like movies that are timepieces like that, because if you do that, it can't really be dated. Like, it's purposely dated, so you can't be like, oh, this looks silly here. It's like, well, yeah, it's supposed to look silly because it was taking place in that period. Anyway, so I really liked the de-aging. I thought that was really cool. And I really liked the fact that it was a period piece, that it took place basically when I was a kid growing up. And so I recognized all these things they kept doing callbacks to, like, they really showcased slow dial-up internet and, like, pay phones and pagers and just ridiculous stuff like that from the 90s. The music was very 90s. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was like Nirvana and No Doubt, and she was wearing a Nine Inch Nails t-shirt. Like, she was wearing a flannel tied around her waist. Like, it was so fucking 90s, dude. I really liked it. So I took some notes here. That's why I'm looking down. I feel like the movie was good, the story was good, the acting was good, and the action was great. I'd probably give it an 8 overall, which means, like, for me, an 8 it was a really good movie. It's a really good movie, but it wasn't, like, earth-shattering. Didn't knock my socks off. It's not up there in my top 5. It was a damn good movie, and I'll watch it several more times, in the coming years. So I can't really find anything in particular that I dislike about the movie, but I just say that it, like I said, it just wasn't up there with movies like Civil War or Infinity War, or stuff like that. Iron Man. It wasn't up there with those films for me. So yeah, that's why it gets an 8 from me. Let's see. It doesn't make my top 5, but it's definitely not in the bottom 5 either. It's definitely it's a middle of the road solo film. So of all the solo films, it's right there with all the solo films. Not many of the solo films are, way up at the top, besides maybe Iron Man. But the initial solo films are kind of, if you look at anybody's list, most of them are near the bottom. And compared to the team-up movies, those are near people's tops. Even things like Civil War and Winter Soldier, like, those are still team-up movies because they have the other characters in them as well. Some people complained that this was going to be, so, like, they were complaining before it even came out, right? They bombed the Rotten Tomatoes score. It was like 28% the week of. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, everyone is saying it's going to be some ultra feminist statement because Brie Larson is, self-described feminist. It's like, dude, she didn't write the fucking movie. You know what I mean? She didn't write the movie. Why is it going to reflect her views in this film? But either way, it was no feminist rallying cry. There was a couple little, like, girl power moments, and it was fine. It was enjoyable. There was nothing. It wasn't anti-man for sure, which is what everyone was acting like it was going to be like. So for all the fucking incels who wanted to bomb the Rotten Tomato score, was like, shame the fuck on you, because it's like, just how are you not grateful for living in the world of nerd plenty? Like, we're living in a universe right now with Marvel films, 22 of them, like, and X-Men films, and, like, series on Netflix and series on major network television. Like, shut the fuck up and enjoy it, man. Why do you want to fucking ruin this shit? Anyway, fuck off to those people. I found the movie very humorous and enjoyable, especially Nick Fury. Some people complain that Brie Larson wasn't very funny, that she was like emotionless. I don't think she was emotionless at all. I felt like she wasn't the funniest part of the movie. The funniest part of the movie was definitely Nick Fury, and then towards the end, the Skrulls, which I was not expecting at all to get comic relief from the Skrulls. I really enjoyed the story. I'm glad that it was like a little more complex than what I was expecting, which is like Kree versus Skrull, and and that was the whole story. And then they defeat the Skrulls or fend them off or whatever. But I'm glad that there was a twist. I'm glad that I'm not going to go into too many like spoilers here because there are plenty of people who haven't seen it. It's only been out for 3 days. But I'm so glad that there was a twist about it because, about 2 hours in, it probably would have gotten boring. I was ready for it to wrap up, but once there was a twist, it was like, oh shit, I am still invested in this film. Like, it made it interesting that it wasn't just black and white. It was a gray area film. It wasn't just about these people versus these people, and these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. There was a gray area, and you had to interpret, like, what is good and bad, and who's really the bad guys here. So I really enjoyed that about it because I was expecting a black and white good versus evil film. So I really enjoyed that. Gotta say, the Stan Lee cameo is the best one of all time. Best one of all time. And if you don't realize what it was, I'll explain it here. This is the only spoiler I'm going to get into. But she gets onto a bus, and Stan Lee is on the bus, and he is practicing his lines from a script. And the script that he's practicing is a 1990s movie called Mallrats that he was in, directed by Kevin Smith. And so that was like a good like callback, not only one to like the 90s, and Kevin Smith his movies were a big part of the 90s, and but it was just so awesome that they didn't just throw it in like to where it was just this random scene like a lot of the other films. It fit perfectly in the time period it was supposed to be in. It was exactly what Stan Lee would be doing, and Stan Lee was playing himself for the first time. So, God, I love that. I loved it so much. I loved so much. Like, that's definitely my favorite Stan Lee cameo of all time. It was like, they didn't just break the fourth wall, they fucking shattered it and somehow moved past it. So, okay, final thoughts. How do I see this affecting Avengers Endgame? I love that she will be an addition, but I'm definitely a little bit worried that they're going to make her invulnerable. Like, at the end of Captain Marvel, she was so goddamn powerful, it's like, it seemed like she would wipe her ass with Thanos in like 5 minutes. However, he does have the Infinity Gauntlet, so I guess that could kind of depower her, you know what I mean? Like, that can override it. He has a control of time and space and shit, so I guess she'd still be vulnerable. But I don't want to see, and I don't think we will see, I don't want to see just a straight-up showdown between the two and she just whoops Thanos' ass. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want Avengers Endgame to end the same way that Captain Marvel ended, you know what I mean? With her just being overpoweringly strong and kicking his ass. But I have faith. So I'm not really worried. I say that I'm worried because that's the only concern I can think of. But really, I have faith in Marvel Studios and in Disney because they've done such a beautiful job so far. I know they're going to tie this fucking thing up in a beautiful little bow, and they're going to show us some awesome stuff we've never seen before. So I'm really excited, and I have full faith in their ability to bring us a fantastic conclusion to this story. So, all right, there you have it. That is my review of Captain Marvel and a look ahead at Avengers Endgame. Like the video if you enjoyed it. If you like videos like this where I talk about movies, TV series, comic books, nerd shit, pop culture, anything like that, subscribe for more because that's what I do here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.